Hello and welcome to Bryan Living and Learning. I'm Alan Brugman from the city of Bryan.
And I'm Sandy Ferris with Bryan ISD. Today we're going to show you what it takes behind the scenes to put on one of our halftime shows at a Friday night football game. And we'll also give you a preview of a new video series that Bryan ISD is producing.
And from the city of Bryan, we'll give you a preview for the upcoming Texas Red Steak and Grape Festival, which is why we're here in downtown Bryan in the first place. And we'll also show you a ribbon cutting ceremony for a walking trail here in downtown. But before we get to those stories, we wanted to show you about a friendly competition between the Bryan Fire and Bryan Police Departments. It's the Guns and Hoses Blood Drive, and here's some PSAs we created for that.
Next. Next.
Do you want to beat the fire department or not? Lean into it.
Man, is this gonna hurt?
Yes.
What are y'all doing?
It's a blood drive.
There's got to be an easier way to give blood.
There is an easier way at the Guns and Hoses Blood Drive, September 13th from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. at City Hall. It's a friendly competition between the Bryan Police Department and the Bryan Fire Department. Come down and donate blood for the crew in blue.
Next.
What are you guys, cops? We got a blood challenge to win. We got to get ready for it. Let's go.
I don't know what you're worried about, Lieutenant. We've been winning everything since 1929.
Lieutenant, I don't think it's a problem. 15-2 doesn't sound like much of a challenge.
Oh, there is an easier way to give blood.
Come support the good guys, the Bryan Fire Department, and the Guns and Hoses Blood Drive.
The blood drive will be held Tuesday, the 13th of September, between 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the basement of Bryan City Hall.
Come support the good guys, the Bryan Fire Department.
Well, Sandy, I want to make sure that everyone who's watching remembers that that blood drive is September 13th, which is Tuesday. So depending upon when you're watching the show, you may have missed it.
And that is a good reminder that blood is always needed, and there's several great organizations in town who can help you out if you want to do that. Well, if you've been to a Friday night football game lately, you know that halftime is full of entertainment. We spent some time with the band directors from Bryan High and Rudder who showed us just what it takes to put a show on.
The atmosphere at Friday night high school football games wouldn't be the same without the marching bands. Halftime shows have changed over the years and have become more of a choreographed performance based on the musical selection.
It used to be very square, very, try to put this into words, it was very military style. So formations were always very square, very tight turns, very sharpness, and sometimes it didn't quite match the music. So what has happened over time, the marching part of it's evolved. And so if the music's nice and smooth, the formations tend to reflect that. So not only do you get the oralness of the sound, you also get the visual aspect of it also.
Band directors begin several months in advance selecting music and visualizing the drill to produce a unique halftime show.
We start early in the spring tossing out ideas. We brainstorm as a staff and work towards selecting some music that we like, that we think will be educational for the students, something that we think has enough substance that we can feel good about working on it all year from an educational point of view or all season. And once we've decided what we're going to do with our music, so we meet with a couple of consultants that help us flesh out our ideas to add a visual element to the show. We break down our music according to the phrasing of the music, and I highlight for our drill designer what the who's playing, where, and what we want to highlight, and those types of things. And then he takes the ideas of our visual concept that we put together and the music and tries to make the drill that we do enhance the music.
The music, I listen to the music a few times, and then it's just, I don't know, it kind of appears in your head. You know, there are certain things I see. All right, the music's very angular here, so I'm going to make more angles on the field. The second piece we're playing, which is the one after this one, is Estrelita. It's nice and smooth and flowing. So all the formations are going to be very arc, very curvy. You know, they're going to reflect more. And so the music is what drives the formations on the field and the stuff that we're doing on the field. Every year it's different. Every band would probably do it different. Yeah, it's unique. Then none of them do it the same way. Yeah.
A popular trend with high school marching bands' halftime performances is to perform a theme show involving sound effects and props.
What's come about nowadays is a lot of bands are now doing theme shows. It's like we're doing a Spanish Nights type show. The band that played the other night, they're doing a show based on joy. And so it helps the music tie in. I mean, in the past, it used to be a march, then there used to be another piece of music, and then another one, and none of them kind of got together. So it's gotten to the point where bands are trying to be a lot more entertaining on what they do on the field. There's props that have been added now, backdrops. Some places really use a lot of props and other stuff that they put into the formations and all just to help get the point across.
Our show is Heroes Fallen, Not Forgotten, and it's basically a tribute to the heroes of the United States, particularly our veterans. It starts off with a ballad-type tune, the old familiar Shenandoah, which was a tune born of the Civil War era, and so we start off basically in Civil War times with the tune Shenandoah, and we progress through World War I. It progresses then into the World War II era, and just taking tunes from those eras and just have little snippets of those tunes that are brought together. We move into the 60s, and we have actually music background for a narration. John F. Kennedy's speech, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." And then we have also a narration that Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. And at the end of that speech, we move into the late 60s, early 70s, and the Vietnam War. There's some special effects that we'll be using for that, helicopter sounds. The drill at that point looks like helicopters spinning on the field. It's very intricate, very fast-paced, and we basically have a little battle scene going on at that point. That's quite chaotic. The music is, and the drill is, and it ends rather abruptly with a strong explosion, and then we move into Amazing Grace, and it's just meant to, the choice of music at that point in time is just meant to, I guess, bring some peace to all the chaos that we're portraying that was the time of the 60s and 70s. And then after that scene is over, we have, I call it a pastiche of Americana. It's any patriotic tune you can think of, little snippets of the Star-Spangled Banner, America, you name it, it's in there. And it comes to a very fast-paced, rapid conclusion, lots of patriotism there. So it's a tribute once again to the veterans.
Well, Sandy, it looks like those kids put in a lot of hard work to make a good show.
They do. They spend a lot of hours, especially in practices before school even started in August. And if people are interested, they have their regional competition in October, and I'm sure we'll be saying how they did when that time comes.
Well, the main reason we're here in downtown for this episode is because Texas Reds is coming up on October 7th and 8th here in downtown Bryan. Here's a quick preview of the changes coming in this year's festival. Far and away the biggest change to the Texas Reds Festival in 2011 is the date. Moved from the sweltering months of June to October, the festival promises to have more tolerable temps. In addition, this year a $5 admission will be charged to festival attendees 13 years and older. And the Kids Zone will be moved from the library grounds to Bryan Avenue. You can find these changes on the complete festival map at TexasRedsFestival.com. And now here's a commercial with some more Texas Reds details. It's time again to stomp some grapes and eat some steak at the Texas Red Steak and Grape Festival, October 7th and 8th in historic downtown Bryan. Enjoy different wines and beef from across the Lone Star State. Crowd favorites are back, including the Grape Stomp, Kids Zone, and Shopping. And on Saturday night, we're proud to welcome four-time Grammy Award nominee Joe Nichols. And October is football season, so there will be a tailgate area set up showing your favorite teams. It's the Texas Red Steak and Grape Festival, October 7th and 8th in historic downtown Bryan. Well, we showed you a lot of shots from the website in that story. That is the place to go for information on Texas Reds. It's TexasRedsFestival.com.
Well, Bryan ISD is starting a new video series in which we profile many of our employees. We're calling it Just a Minute, and we're going into classrooms around the district as well as offices to meet some of our administrators and principals, and we're hoping to show people just what it is that motivates people to do the job they do. We started off with two really great subjects, our 2011 Teachers of the Year.
My name is Angela George, and I teach 3rd grade at Kemp Elementary. I grew up in Belton, Texas, moved to Waco when I was in high school. My mom and dad are both teachers. They're both retired at this point. I went to school at Texas A&M, graduated in 2004, and came to Kemp, and this is my 8th year of teaching at Kemp. When I was in high school, I was real involved in different organizations where we went to the elementary schools and we worked with children. We would read books with them, we would help them one-on-one with different assignments. And I just fell in love with working with them from an early age. My mom taught kindergarten for 27 years, and so I spent a lot of time going to her classroom and working with her children.
Raise your hand if you think we make more money off of exports. Very good.
I grew up all my life in Bryan schools. I went to Crockett Elementary at a very early age. I enjoyed my time at Crockett and moved on throughout all the way to Bryan High School. Graduated in 1995. It's important to learn about history because it impacts so much of today. It's going on and to be responsible voters. It's good for these kids to get a grasp of not only where it started, but what it's actually about. And this gives this is an avenue to give those kids that. It shows them, hey, so often I hear kids saying, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican.
Well, Sandy, that looks like a great video series. Where can folks watch that?
They're going to be on Channel 16. We'll play them continuously throughout the week. And then they're also available on our website, bryanisd.org, and our Facebook page as well.
Recently, there was a ribbon cutting ceremony here in downtown Bryan for the grand opening of the Upbeat Walking Trail. The downtown walking path is officially open. Recently, the Upbeat project team, a community-based obesity prevention initiative, received a grant aimed at environmental policy change and on improving levels of physical activity for Bryan residents. Mayor Jason Bianski was present to help cut the ribbon and thanked the Upbeat team for spending their grant money in downtown Bryan. Following the ceremony, visitors were invited to try out the new walking path by walking the 1.5-mile course. Well, that's all we have for you on this episode of Bryan Living and Learning.
I'm Sandy Ferris.
And I'm Alan Brugman. Thanks for watching.